Today is Wednesday, January 31st, the last Wednesday of January 2024, and our last political update of the month. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Tim Darnell, joined by producer Maria Moreau here in our Atlanta News First Midtown studios from our First Alert desk. A lot of late-breaking political news that we're covering for you both on broadcast and online at atlantanewsfirst.com. Here are some of the headlines, our top headlines at the hour. Former President Donald Trump has joined a motion to dismiss Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis from her election interference investigation into his case. Fulton County has held and is continuing to hold recruitment fairs to recruit poll workers for 2024. At 2:30, less than half an hour from now, Governor Brian Kemp will sign into law a new bill allowing prosecutors to further prosecute, any cases or crimes against Jewish people or citizens here in Georgia. Georgia lawmakers have also announced a series of tax relief measures for this election year. In Fulton County commissioners have balanced the 2024 budget, but at what cost, according to some critics that we'll be talking about momentarily. And finally, the Georgia State Senate has approved a series of new Cobb County school districts, but Democrats say the newly drawn maps, are still examples of racial gerrymandering. But first at this hour, former President Donald Trump has joined a motion in Fulton County to dismiss District Attorney Fani Willis and the special prosecutor she has hired to assist in her investigation and subsequent indictment of former President Donald Trump. He has joined the case, a court filing seeking to disqualify her and Nathan Wade. Now, this motion was initially filed in early January by another co-defendant in the Trump election interference case, that being Michael Roman, and filed on behalf of him by his attorney, Cobb County's Ashley Merchant. Now, this lawsuit alleges that both Fani Willis and Nathan Wade have had an improper personal relationship prior to Fani Willis hiring Wade to assist in her investigation into allegations that the former president and 18 of his Republican allies attempted to overturn Georgia's lawful 2020 presidential election results. Roman's court filing also is alleging that Willis and Wade have taken lavish vacations together and that the special prosecutor used part of his salary, paid for by taxpayers, to travel with Fani Willis together. Now, we have this report from our own Atlanta News First reporter, Carly Barnett.
To August 2023, when Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis indicted former President Donald Trump and 18 of his so-called allies. One of those, Michael Roman, a former staffer of the former president, accused of trying to organize fake electors. January 8th of this year, he filed a motion accusing Willis of having an improper relationship with Nathan Wade, a special prosecutor tapped to assist with the election interference case. The motion questions Wade's experience, salary, and says the two took expensive trips together on the taxpayer's dime. Willis filed her own motion Thursday, and in it said it was a conspiracy between Roman and Nathan Wade's ex-wife, Jocelyn. Willis had been subpoenaed to testify in the Wade's divorce proceedings and motioned to have the subpoena thrown out, saying it had no basis other than to, quote, harass and damage her professional reputation, even saying it was interfering with her ongoing prosecution of the election case. Jocelyn Wade responded to that, her attorney Thursday, saying, quote, "We aim to help Mrs. Wade resolve her divorce fairly and privately, but apparently DA Fani Willis would prefer to use her public platform. Clearly, this matter is personal for her." Either way, whether true or not, Thursday, Fulton County Judge Scott McAfee ordered a hearing on the matter, saying Willis had to respond to these allegations in writing by February 2nd and at that hearing on February 15th. At her latest public appearance last Sunday at Big Bethel AME Church, Willis did not mention Wade by name and has not mentioned their relationship allegations.
I appointed 3 special counsel, as is my right to do, paid them all the same hourly rate. They only attacked one.
Carly Barnett, Atlanta News First.
Now, within the last couple of hours, we have learned that Michael Roman, the co-defendant who is bringing the charges of an alleged improper relationship between Fani Willis and Nathan Wade initially, has also filed a civil suit in Fulton County Superior Court suing Fulton County DA Fani Willis and her office, alleging that they have violated Georgia's Open Records Act and have allegedly concealed details that would prove their allegations that Willis and Wade have been engaged in an improper relationship. These are stories that we're going to continue to follow throughout the day and the coming weeks on Atlanta News First and AtlantaNewsFirst.com. Now, we all know 2024 is an election year, and Fulton County, which was the site of a lot of election night controversy in 2020, at least according to former President Donald Trump and his supporters, Fulton County has held 3 recruitment fairs designed to entice people to become poll workers for the 2024 election. Now, the first 3 fairs have been held in the communities of Chattahoochee Hills, the city of Milton, and the city of Johns Creek. Fulton County is planning more fairs for the areas of Sandy Springs, South Fulton, East Point, and Union City. Now, poll workers can make up to $400, and the first election coming up in the 2024 season in Georgia is the March 12th GOP presidential primary, followed by the regular primaries in May. Now, within the next 20 to 25 minutes, as we said at the top of the hour, Governor Brian Kemp will sign a newly adopted bill allowing prosecutors to create specific anti-Semitism charges to crimes committed against the Jewish population here in Atlanta and Georgia. Now, the bill was passed last week by both the State House and Senate, and Governor Kemp indicated he would indeed sign the bill when it was passed last Thursday. Here is a report from our political reporter, Doug Reardon.
Representative Esther Panich, Georgia's only Jewish state legislator, got to the Capitol early on Thursday. For her bill making anti-Semitic acts a crime, it was voting day, and safe to say there were some nerves.
I'm a lawyer. I know you don't know what the jury's going to do till they come back, no matter how confident you are in your case.
The state Senate was the first to vote. Last year, the bill stalled here in this chamber. But on Thursday, after hours of debate, it passed, with Panich sitting in the front of the room. Outside the chambers after the vote,
I am more relieved now than I was this morning when I saw you.
Then, just minutes later, more relief.
The yeas are 129, the nays are 5.
The bill itself was controversial. It covers only anti-Semitic acts like vandalism or assault, but some feel it sets a dangerous precedent when it comes to speech.
It's murky and it's left up to the prosecutor.
This bill will target pro-Palestine advocates, and we have seen it applied already across the state.
Supporters of the bill say this was never about chilling speech. It was about protecting Georgia's Jewish population.
If you want to go out and say that you hate Israel after this bill is passed, you may absolutely do that.
There are 150,000 Jews in Georgia that now feel like they have been seen and heard and acknowledged and protected.
Now, that was a report filed by political reporter Doug Reardon last Thursday when both the House and the Senate passed this anti-Semitism bill. Now, earlier this morning, in a report that was broken first by Atlanta News First and AtlantaNewsFirst.com, the state representative that you heard interviewed in that package, Representative Esther Panich from Sandy Springs, received a threatening postcard in the mail. That happened yesterday, only hours before Governor Kemp's signing of the bill that will happen in the next 20 to 25 minutes or so. Again, this was reported first exclusively by Rachel Polanski, one of our Atlanta News First investigative team reporters. Now, Panatich has reported the incident to Sandy Springs Police, and they are investigating, and that's a topic we'll continue to follow throughout the day and the coming hours. Also at the state capitol last week, state lawmakers announced a series of tax relief measures that are taking effect in 2024, which just happens to be an election year. As we all know, one of the initiatives would increase Georgia's child tax credit from $3,000 to $4,000 per child. Another measure would double the state's homestead exemption tax from $2,000 to $4,000. State officials are also saying they're going to remove the cap on Georgia's revenue shortfall, which is at historic levels. The shortfall reserve is at historic levels, and give taxpayers an additional $1 billion in relief on their income tax returns for 2024 and beyond. And speaking of tax relief and balanced budgets, in Fulton County, officials have released a balanced 2024 budget they say has been accomplished without raising property taxes. The Board of Commissioners was also able to approve more than a $2 million grant to its arts and culture programs throughout the county, but it also had to cut $2 million in overtime for hours for the sheriff's office. Now, we all know that sheriff deputies are in charge of the administration and safekeeping at the Fulton County Jail, which is one of the nation's most notorious county jails in the United States. Sheriff Pat Labatt's office said that the budget cuts will impact existing staffing issues at the Fulton County Jail, which has been the subject of numerous investigations by our Atlanta News First investigative team. Online, we have a special series called Georgia's Gitmo, in which our award-winning investigative reporter, Andy Perotti, interviews top Fulton County officials, including the sheriff, on the crisis at the Fulton County Jail. And in neighboring Cobb County, Georgia senators have redrawn Cobb County school districts after a federal judge threw out the districts earlier this year as being discriminatory and having the hallmarks of racial gerrymandering, as well as being unconstitutional. But Democrats are still objecting to the new map, saying that the racial gerrymandering still exists despite these newly adopted maps that were adopted last week by the Republican-led Georgia State Senate. Now, these maps are going to be used in the 2024 election, and 4 board seats are up for grabs in 2024. The lawsuit that initially threw out the original Cobb County school district maps said that Republicans illegally grouped minority voters, such as African American and Latino groups, into 3 districts and thus diluted their voting power and their influence over the electoral process. So we want to remind you to stay tuned to the Atlanta News First app on Roku and Apple TV and elsewhere, wherever you receive your streaming platforms, and on YouTube, because in about 15 minutes we will be covering Governor Brian Kemp's historic signing of the newly passed anti-Semitism bill, first of its kind in Georgia history. So we urge all of you to stay tuned to our YouTube channel and Atlanta News First and AtlantaNewsFirst.com.